a great display. So a huge step up in performance from the older aircraft that it's replaced. Takes some design points from the Mosquito bomber from World War II, but we're step up into the jet age now with the Canberra bomber.
So with the echoes of Vietnam in the background, number 2 Squadron, based at Phan Rang in Vietnam back in the year. This aircraft was well and truly in the revetments on the field.
As you can hear that whistle as it goes to the north, you'll hear later on the sound of the engine with the wind pushing it through towards us on the crowd line.
Luke, what roles did the Canberra serve in Australian service?
Well, a numerous series of roles. It could be a reconnaissance as well as a bomber, supporting the forces on the ground wherever it was needed.
Peter, to give you some idea of how good this aircraft was, as you know, the Americans don't buy non-American very often because they've got their own industry. But when they see a design that is streets ahead of anything on the market, they will buy it. They actually license built this aircraft as the Martin B-57, and like us used it in Vietnam as well, where it served brilliantly.
And as Mark Binskin is repositioning the aircraft, the engines are started with a shotgun cartridge, I understand. Luke, what's the background of that?
Well, originally it was operated like that, and quite recently that was the case. But when the aircraft was donated to the Royal Australian Air Force to become part of the 100 Squadron, the engineers up in Temora put in a lot of effort, and they have actually changed and modified it. So now it's got batteries hung in the mod bay there. So that'll ensure it continues to fly in a safe way in the future, so we can inspire the next generations.
There was always a huge puff of very acrid black smoke as well with the cartridge start.
Yeah, that slow release boom of power.
There is an amazing video of the recovery of the remains of the crew of Magpie 2-0 in Vietnam. It's a 10-minute video, but it was many years after the incident when the Canberra was lost, and the remains of the 2 crew members were eventually found. There was a ramp ceremony at Richmond RAAF base. Would be 6 or 7 years ago now, and 500 Vietnam vets, as soon as the Herc landed, with the remains, jumped to their feet and screamed and applauded. It was palpable.
Working and slaving and life away. I know it's been working so hard.
Luke, sharp-eyed observers may notice a glass nose in the Canberra. Is that to give a scenic view, or is there a purpose behind that?
Yeah, so a multi-crew aircraft, you'll find that the pilot opens a door on the right-hand side and climbs up, and they could have observers and Bob aimers in there and a navigator. Very claustrophobic if you ever get the chance to look inside a Canberra bomber. Huge glass dome overhead to let in all the sun, and not too much fresh air.
Not much air conditioning in a 1948 aircraft, is there?
This one was flying in 1992 in Duxford, so it came out to Australia in 2001, the town I'm from, Albury. It arrived in colours from overseas, and then they repainted it in the 2 Squadron colours in Albury, and it's been operated in Temora since 2001.
Because they were, of course, assembled. They weren't designed in Australia, but they were assembled here at Fisherman's Bend, I believe.
Yeah, this one was ferried out as we hear the last pass now, north to south, and you hear that whistle as it goes past.
Generation aircraft, that is a first generation jet, 512 jet bomber aircraft, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the first ones would have been the World War II aircraft, like the Meteor. And this would have been a huge step up in performance compared to that, where you had the propellers on the Mosquito twin-engine propeller aircraft, which was high performance for the time, but this is the next step up.
I see a line of cars and they're all painted black, with flowers and my love never to come
By the
back.
looks of it, Mark Binskin is enjoying his retirement.
It is. It's pretty special when you have a career as interesting as Mark's, where you're able to fly these aircraft as well.
I look inside myself and see my heart.
Very active general aviation pilot as well on the side, with his own privately owned aircraft, as well as the fast jet background, and now operating the historical bombers for 100 Squadron.
And we had our Navy commentators before upping the ante on RAAF by saying fly Navy, and fly Navy, fly Navy. However, Mark Binskin, flying this jet, started his jet career with the Navy, flying Skyhawks off HMAF Melbourne.
Yes, he has, yep.
Interesting man. Chief of Air Force, then to Chief of the Defence Force, a highly decorated career. We thank Mark, and we thank you also, Luke, and we thank 100 Squadron and Temora, those beautiful people who care for the jet.
I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head and still my darkness goes.
And to the echoes of yesteryear, and 1966 to 1972, Canberra, those who would like an interesting photograph of this magic Canberra bomber, this is your opportunity as it lands on.
From the sky, I wanna see you faded, 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 faded black. Yeah.
So the marvels of yesteryear, 2 Squadron, Fan Rang, and I'm sure in the audience there are a lot of Vietnam vets here, a number who served in Fan Rang at warrant officer level, pilot level, and administration and CO level. Many are at the airshow to see that marvellous machine of yesteryear.